Hello and welcome back to episode 35 of Downunder The Ring podcast. And look, I'm the Warship, that's Phid. We haven't been here for a very long time. We've had so many things happen. I got super sick, Phid got super sick, bunch of personal stuff in between there, and it's been about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I think now,
right,
since we did our last.
Month. It's been a hell of a month. So apologies to everybody. Look, if you follow either of us on socials, you would have seen things going down in our respective lives. It's been a rough month.
It has.
All around. But in saying that, it's been an interesting month for wrestling.
Yeah, that's the thing, is we've had a lot of situations here where I'm like, man, I wish we were doing the podcast today because there's so much to talk about.
And the thing is, our group chat, right, as we haven't not been talking about wrestling. Every time something happens, it's like, fuck, I wish we could jump on the show today.
Yeah. We've had so much actually going down that has been like really interesting. The TNA stuff, the Ethan Page stuff, the Judgment Day stuff, Ricochet. Jeez, even the camera angles we've been getting with WWE lately. Clash of the Castle coming up in a week. It's just been crazy. We've missed events already too because we missed pay-per-views. AEW is wild at the moment. We probably won't speak too much about that. No. We've got a learning tree now over there.
Yep.
But you'll probably get that listening to a multitude of podcasts. The most
wild things happening at AEW and WWE at the moment is the comings and goings between the two companies. Like, it's the first time we're seeing a lot of people leaving AEW. And saying that, we're also seeing a lot of people deciding maybe WWE isn't the right place for me. So, and we always knew this year was going to be a big year for contracts ending and people jumping ship and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting, man.
I look at the situation and, like, for example, MJF, just as one off the top of my head, off the cuff.
I think he's back, by the way.
He was never gonna go away. Like, I think the reality of the situation is he's never going to leave. We all knew he was never going to leave. Yeah. It would have been cool. How cool would it have been? Yeah. But for now, he's got a tattoo of AEW, and it's a shithouse tattoo, but he has a tattoo.
Oh my God, can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, go on.
Is that not the worst tattoo you've seen in a long time? I'm not talking design-wise. I'm talking like anyone who knows anything about tattoos. And look, between you and I, we've got a few tattoos.
A few shit tattoos too.
I've got a few shitty ones. But the decisions that have been made in that tattoo, like, instead of using liner needles, they've used big, thick needles and stuff like that. That thing is not going to heal nicely. It is going to be a black blob in the next 5 years. Like,
look, it's no adrenaline in my soul, but it's pretty close. Like, as far as
in 5 years' time,
tattoos.
if he decides to sign with somebody else, it's not going to be an issue because you're not going to be able to read that logo.
No. In 5 years' time, it'll be a black poker table, and that'll be okay. But that was not done with a liner at all. That was 1,000,000% done with filler. And
it's a shade of needle.
It really, really is. It's disappointing to see. But big pop on the Triple H-esque return.
Massive.
I think that it's long enough now that we aren't looking for a best friends reunion, like, at all. No. Like, it's been long enough now. Enough has happened. And I grew dreadlocks in the time that MJF has been gone. So, it's been long enough for that to not be a thing. But so I wasn't even upset when we had the inevitable low blow there. It was just how it is. And that's okay.
And it's funny how they just were like, okay, we need to address this. Quick, done. Punch to the balls. Okay, move on.
We're done. Like, and that's it. And him saying, "I'm done. I'm done being fucking nice. I'm everyone knows I'm a prick, so I'm gonna be a prick again." And it's fine.
Look, I'm going to say this. I think AEW has massively needed MJF to come back.
Oh, absolutely.
As much as, like, I think they've got some amazing talent there and some superstars there, they don't have anybody that just is massive draw like MJF. Like,
Well,
Edge.
okay,
Edge
so you say
is
future draw.
no.
You know,
He's a draw.
No, but I mean like a draw for the future, not a draw for now, because you'll have your Jerichos, you'll have your Edge, your Christians, all these guys who do draw for the company. But with MJF, he's a draw, but he's also an investment, because that draw is a 10-year draw. That's a 15-year draw.
Absolutely, 100%. But this is what I was going to say: is I think like your Jerichos and your Edges and Christians and all that. I don't think they're a draw as such when it comes to bringing people back who would have dropped off over the last year, because there are a lot of people that have dropped off since Punk left, right?
Yeah. Me.
Yeah, myself as well. And there's a lot of people that have started swaying more towards WWE in that time. And I don't think it's because Punk is at WWE. I just think it's because Punk made AEW super interesting, right?
Yeah.
And once he left, a lot of people were like, a lot of people went, hey, there's some really interesting storytelling happening over at WWE, which we aren't getting over at AEW. And I think the guys that are there are holding it down, but they're not enough to draw people like us back. Now that MJF is back, I watched that episode of Dynamite because I was like, MJF's back, I want to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, like I feel like it's almost one of those like hurricanes of just like it was just a chance that it went the way it did. Very similar to the way that in the Attitude Era, like you know the length of time between Austin and the NWO forming, like between Austin 316 and the NWO forming, you know how long that is, right? That's like no time at all. And if either one of those things had have occurred on their own without the other, that would have been the death nail. Either way. If the NWO had have existed in perpetuity without Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's the end. If Stone Cold Steve Austin had been there and there was no NWO, that was the end, straight away. Like the timeline 100%. There is minuscule. And if you look at that compared to where we are now, it's kind of a similar situation. We had the Bloodline, which was, and probably to a degree still is, the biggest storyline going. Without the Bloodline, the faults that AEW have really started to show maybe weren't going to be as important. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like maybe we forgive shitty booking at the time, but we look at it and we're like, no, this is much better. I'm going to watch this.
It's because
CM Punk
we had something
there,
else.
Much better.
Yeah, it's because we had something else to go to. If they had nothing to go to, I'd still be swinging the AEW banner hard.
Cat around your head like this.
Yeah,
absolutely. But at the end of the day, you know, again, it was all about that circumstance of chance. So having LA Knights rise, having CM Punk come through, AJ Styles revitalization, Cody Rhodes getting that championship shot, the Bloodline, the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley being a champion.
So much interesting stuff going on over there.
Literally from the time you started the show, all the way through, and the women's tag match. But all the way through, aside from that, it was something interesting every single day.
Exactly.
So
while we're talking about draws, though, while we're talking about interesting draws, I did not have it on my bingo card this year that I would be watching NXT.
No, because I think we all still feel that hurt. I still have the rainbow paint on my fingers from NXT 2.0.
Exactly. Like I haven't watched NXT since the Black and Gold era. And even then, during the Black and Gold era, I was a sporadic viewer, right? I'd maybe watch every one of the pay-per-views every now and then. Yeah, the takeovers and things like that every now and then. And if I had time, I'd watch the episodes. But the interesting part of this is I've watched NXT the last week, and I wasn't watching it for WWE stars because we had Jordan Grace turn up on NXT, and it was huge.
What did we say? We said this was the beginning.
We did. We literally said after the Rumble that it was the beginning, this was going to be something, but the other one was that Jordan Grace proved that she is a superstar. She showed that she is a superstar, and I think we gave it 6 months before we saw her on WWE programming. I was expecting her to get signed. I was expecting her to get signed.
I was too.
But seeing her still as a TNA Knockouts champion on the show, representing TNA, a TNA chant when she turned up, getting a fight on the next episode where she dominated, and then going through to challenge for the NXT Women's Championship at the Battleground pay-per-view. And guess what? I watched the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I flew back into the country on Sunday. First day at work was yesterday, being a Monday. And while I was working, I had Battleground up and I was watching it. And it was a great pay-per-view.
I think that loyalty to TNA is one thing, but I think that the second that contract expires, there's going to be a shiny WWE contract right there. But I've been saying it for a bit, and I'm going to continue to throw this prediction out there. I think within the next year, WWE will officially purchase TNA for the library, because of AJ Styles' last matches. I think there is no negative to them buying TNA outright.
Well, it's 20
especially with Scott
years
D'Amore's leave.
Yep. There's 20 years worth of footage there, right?
Yep.
And
Sting's matches as well. Like all of these, like Kurt Angle, Booker T, all these other matches, these like massive legacies of right there waiting.
There are two companies right now who would benefit from owning that back catalogue, right? And both companies have superstars on their roster that they would benefit from owning that footage, right? And there's only one of those companies that currently have a partnership.
Yeah, and look, they got the money for it too. Because say what you want about Tony Khan's millions upon millions of dollars. I actually don't know how much Tony Khan is worth or how much his dad is worth right now. But that Netflix deal from WWE, you can't tell me they can't put that pocket change into TNA.
Oh, and look, we all know that Netflix is looking at expanding their live stuff, right? So I think part of the deal with Netflix is they have all of WWE's live programming in most global markets. They're going to have Raw exclusively in the States. And as contracts expire globally, Netflix will pick those up. So
it won't be long before they get SmackDown.
Yeah, for example, Australia, as soon as Binge, that contract expires, Netflix is going to pick everything up. I think New Zealand's going to be crossing over to Netflix literally January 1st, because as I was reminded while I was over in New Zealand last week, the WWE network still exists there, which was wild to me because I hadn't seen that in so long. But nobody has exclusive rights to streaming that over there, right?
No.
So Netflix is going to pick that up January 1st as well. But in saying that, if they're going to want more and more live programming, it's not going to hurt them to purchase TNA and not do what they did to WCW, right? Like purchase TNA and you keep that ship running. You hire Scott D'Amore back. You have him run his baby again.
Oh, mate. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to try to say Aotearoa has problems too. Two problems.
Okay.
4 and 20 pies and Netflix WWE Network. That's it. You sent me that yesterday or the day before. That you're in New Zealand. All of a sudden, there's 4 and 20 pies in the shop, and you called out a place for it and everything. I love a good 4 and 20. I haven't had one in years, but I love a good pie at the football. That was always the thing. I don't even know what they're like over there. I got to try it for sure. But I have to say, when it comes to TNA, for me, the biggest thing, and I think, if I was booking, putting my wheelchair or armchair booking situation, on right now, my thing is AJ loses to Cody again.
Yep.
AJ goes to TNA, becomes TNA champion. Has a good run there. Put him on the posters. Has a nostalgia run with everybody. A nostalgia run with everyone that they can get, even if they ask to borrow people from other companies. Give him his nostalgia run. I feel like Tony Khan would say, okay, if you want Christopher Daniels for a show, you can have him. If you want Samoa Joe for a show, you can have him. Because AJ is worth more to the business, right?
Yep.
Like, he's got a legacy there. Give him his flowers on TNA. And
I would love TNA to be run very similarly to how it's currently being run. I have WWE own it, but still run it as a company where you can pull people from the indies and do 1 to 2 month runs of them or whatever. Have the likes of, like you said, have them have a fluid sort of relationship with AEW. That would be amazing if they could pull that off.
Absolutely.
But look, AEW's got a lot of guys that are currently doing more work on the indies than they're doing on AEW. Like, imagine having a Danhausen turn up on TNA.
It would just be excellent. Like, I think that TNA could be the bridge between the two companies.
Yeah.
And I know that at least one side is open to that. I think that TKO, from a business point of view, would probably be okay with that too, considering it's more eyes on the product.
Essentially, you run it like a super indie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like you run it like what Forbidden Door pretends to be.
Yeah,
because Forbidden Door pretends to be this like amalgamation of companies, but really it's just AEW and whoever doesn't hate AEW, mostly New Japan, coming together and doing their thing.
I think they've got a relationship with
yeah. I think maybe yeah. So it's not really that. If you had a standalone separate promotion and allowed people to bounce in and out of that from both sides, that can only benefit, right? Even though ultimately, 100%. If WWE own it, it's putting money in their pocket. Yeah. It's also giving everyone else exposure, because you can't tell me that you're getting someone from AEW, like pull a name out of the hat, Jericho. You can't tell me Jericho's not going to wear an AEW shirt to TNA. You know what I mean? Like. So ultimately, a middle ground, a neutral ground would be really cool.
It would be really cool. I'll be honest, I don't see it happening.
I don't either.
Love it to happen. But I still think you could run it like what I think realistically, you can realistically run it as a WWE-owned super indie where you can pull from the indies.
Yeah.
Right? Having the likes of, what is his name? AJ Francis, yeah. Having AJ Francis, who's not signed to TNA, but he's been working TNA for the last 3 or 4 months. And that's amazing, being able to do that.
Oh, what about if the Wyatt 6 debuted there with Matt?
Oh, how sick would that be?
That'd be sick, because they're never going to debut. Apparently it's a Clash now. It keeps changing, but apparently it's a Clash now.
The math I saw looked like it was going to be Monday after Clash.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I really hope they're just taking their time to do it right.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope that they're doing all the stuff they need to do. They're not just going to retrofit Bo into Bray's old gimmick and clothing. Yeah. I really hope they're just doing everything they can to make it correct.
I think they're at the point where they need to shit or get off the pot, though.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't even mind at this point if he wore that last set that was meant for Bray, or an amalgamation of that, as like a one-off, like return tribute kind of vibe. Just because he never got to wear it. His brother never got to wear it on a show.
I tell you what I don't want, though. I don't want Bo in a mask.
No, I don't. And if he is, I don't want him to be in a ring mask. I'd be happy with him in an entrance mask.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be okay. And I also don't really want him to be carrying the lantern either.
No.
If he brings the lantern out, I'd be so stoked for him to bring it out once and put it in place.
Bring it out in the debut.
Yeah.
Right. Bring it out in the debut. Give Bray a moment. That's it.
Yep. Okay, so bring it out. Get in the ring with everyone. Like, you know, like there's someone in the ring and they're hurt, and all of a sudden you've got maybe everyone has a lantern and they all turn on as opposed to turning off at once. So you see their faces one at a time in the darkness. But then when they blow it out, some real quick, take this, all the lanterns disappear, the lights come on.
Yeah.
Like
perfect.
For me, then no more lanterns because you don't need them anymore. You've mixed that message, you've put everything there. And that's kind of all it needs to be.
Absolutely. Now, while we're talking about WWE and NXT stuff, I want to take a moment to have a bit of a brag.
Go and gloat.
About being right.
Yeah.
You remember would be well over a month ago, I was like, looks like Ethan Page is leaving AEW.
Yeah.
Hopefully he signs with WWE. And he has landed. And dude, straight to the main event, straight to a title shot.
You have made a main eventer immediately with Ethan Page.
And look, I've been saying this about Ethan Page for the last couple of years. He needs to be a main eventer. He has it, man. He's got the look. He's got the charisma. Dude can wrestle. And I think he's going to be a future face of WWE if they do this right. They do this right.
I'm a little bit concerned that he might be a future face of... I feel like he might be another Bobby Roode.
You reckon?
I feel like the way that his presentation is so far, so even though we've only just seen him come out, there's a very glorious vibe to him. He's a big enough name away from the company. Similarly to Bobby Roode, there's not the same gimmick, but there are definite notes that are hit. You know,
the thing is with Bobby though, is Bobby got over.
Yeah, he did.
Right?
He did, and it wasn't his fault that he didn't go further.
And that's what I'm saying. It was not his fault. It was Vince's fault.
Yeah, because he was from the enemy, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion too, he was from the enemy, so you can only get so far because you're not mine.
Exactly right. But I don't think we're in that era because I mean we're currently in an era where someone signed to another company is being treated like a superstar and made to look like a superstar. So,
and look, 1,000,000%, you could be right.
I have faith that they can do this right. It's just
hope so.
Whether they can build him up fast enough on NXT where they can keep him hot and then move him over to the main roster, because I think the biggest issue that I see with NXT sometimes is they'll have someone who's hot, someone who's big, someone who's ready for the main event, but they fuck around, and by the time they get to the main roster, they don't know what to do with them, right?
I think they let them cool off before they move them, and that's a problem.
Exactly, right? And they need to move these people over way faster. Like Trick Williams is a good example of that. Like, why is he still holding a championship title in NXT when he's on the main roster as well? We forget that he's been drafted.
Because they keep referencing, like, their problem with Trick is that he's been boxed in with Carmelo Hayes. So now Carmelo's on the main roster. Trick can't just go to the main roster. You know, like even though it's dumb, that's the mentality that you see. So Trick will hold it until the next challenger comes along who can feasibly beat Trick, whether that's Ethan Page or not.
Yep.
And then Trick will move up, and by then Carmelo will either be released or move on to something else.
I am kind of disappointed that they've got Ethan as a heel, because if you've watched any of his YouTube stuff, the dude is a genuinely nice guy. Charisma out the ass. And I think
the children would call him W-Riz.
Yeah, and I think if he was allowed to be a face, I think he could be the next John Cena. Because
it's not tall enough.
But the thing is, like, we don't have a John Cena because Cody Rhodes has excelled John Cena at this point, so we need
Cody Rhodes is Captain
Cena.
America.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes is Ultimate Warrior kind of vibe, you know, like that, like beyond Cena, I'm America made flesh kind of vibe that I get from him. So when Cody eventually turns heel, it will be awesome. But
when we get Homelander,
I don't think we get Homelander, but I don't think that Cody fits the John Cena mold, because the thing about John Cena is that he was so unique, because when he came in, they tried to make him a face, but no one liked it because it was a terrible gimmick, and he transformed into thug life, basic thugonomics John Cena, and everybody hated it, but they couldn't help but laugh when he would say the penis words on the microphone, and eventually that became a natural progression into being a face. But people forget that Cena was a heel for so long that people were actually clamoring, much like with Roman Reigns, for them to turn him, and they just didn't for ages. So I don't think Cody's going to follow that same trajectory. I think Cody has already gone past it. I would be happy to see Ethan Page do it. My problem with Ethan Page, obviously, is from what I've been saying, is that it's about handling the talent from here. There's already so many people, and there are only so many spots on the mountain. I'm concerned with a lot of guys at the moment that there is no room at the top. You know, if you pull up in a few years' time someone like Ethan Page and say, all right, Ethan Page is in the main events on Raw, then where's Carmelo Hayes? Where's Trick Williams? Where's Ilya Dragunov? Where's Gunter? You know, where's Bron Breakker? Where is all of these people? Where's Chad Gable? Where's Otis? Where's Sami Zayn? Where's Kevin Owens? Where's Ricochet in AEW? Where's LA Knight? Like, there are so many people right now. Where's Solo Sikoa? Where's Tama Tonga? Where's Tonga Loa? Where's everybody that they have right now?
And saying that, like, this time last year, we were saying the problem with AEW is they had too many stars, right?
Yeah.
And didn't have enough time. But it's interesting because you look at what WWE is doing, they have so many stars. But they're managing to find time for most of them, which I'm finding really interesting. It's a hard balance, right?
They do fit the puzzle, though.
They're managing to keep all the pieces on the table at the same time. All the plates are spinning. Some of them are only getting little vignettes or bits and pieces.
But they're still on every show.
Judgment Day is everywhere still.
Yeah. And look, as someone who was in a goth boy stable and our music would hit like 46 times a night, I can relate, and I hate it because I used to feel that vibe as well. Is you'd hear Dead Souls by Nine Inch Nails play 6 times on an EPW show, and it was rough. But speaking of Judgment Day, I was going to try to figure out a way to say he's speaking about hookers because I was going to make a reference to me. I couldn't figure out how to do it. But this Liv Morgan situation,
it's interesting.
This is not PG era anymore.
It's funny because what they're doing is so... I'm not going to say it's Attitude Era because it's definitely not Attitude Era. They are walking a very fine line, though. And it's funny because I have seen some complaints online about, sexual content and is this what we're going back to and blah, 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 blah. But I think they're doing a very good job of walking the line with this. And what is wrong with having a woman using her femininity as a power? Right? I don't think it's a negative thing at all.
It's not exploitation. It's not Triple H pointing to a girl in the crowd and being like, "Get your boobs out!" No, all the way. It's none of that. Like, it's not exploitive. There are tones that it hits that are not great, but then it's been a long while since we've had what JR would call a Jezebel character in WWE. And Liv is doing a really good job of that. I mean, she was dry humping Dominic on Raw this week, this week, just gone, just now. Yeah. And I weirdly think that it's still a red herring. We've been discussing this on our own private chats, and I think the last time we spoke on podcasts as well, we mentioned it too, is I think the Liv Morgan stuff it's still a stretch for me to believe that anyone would say, yeah, Rhea Ripley's hot, right? But Liv Morgan is hotter. Like, from a character point of view, it doesn't fit with what Dom has been doing in that character, because we're really looking at this Eddie and China gender swap kind of vibe. And one thing about Eddie, so in this instance, really, Rhea, is that Eddie always had a plan. What did Eddie do? What was his 3 things?
He lied, he cheated, he
stole. And right now, we're seeing, I think, Rhea Ripley's master plan come undone here, because one thing that Liv said before the injury was, I'm going to take everything from you. If I'm big, spooky goth girl who has a team of people behind me, my master plan is to work within that boundary and say, okay, I understand, but let me flip that script, because I don't think, and maybe I'm being naive, but I don't think it's going to be Dom and Liv. I just don't. He either needs to get out of any woman's shadow, or him and Rhea Ripley need to ride this forever.
Yeah,
like he can't just bounce from one to the other and then do another year, 2 years, 3 years with Liv Morgan by his side. It doesn't work. It's too much.
Look, I quite like the idea of there being a master plan in the background where Rhea has been smart enough to set, and look, we know that Rhea's character is a smart character. She's dominant, she's smart and conniving and clever, and she would in the background set up traps for her to go after everything, or think she is getting everything, right?
Yeah, and plus, there's a very Dom sub dynamic between Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio as well. So Dom will do everything for Rhea Ripley, no matter what it is. And Rhea Ripley, she's still going to be okay as a character with Dominic kissing Liv if she knows that it's playing into her own hands. That's a characterization trait, That's a trait of a dominant female or a dominant male is the control aspect of it.
And
now,
it's a super
I think
interesting...
the additional to that is... Sorry, continue.
Oh, no, it's a super interesting story as well, because it's playing against our expectations as a viewer as well, and especially what we expect from WWE, where a lot of the stories were very simple, not too deep stories, right? They didn't run too deep. You didn't have to think too deep about them over the last 10 years. And now I think they're able to almost play into the fact that us as WWE fans, still a lot of us think like that. So they can play with that and go, okay, we're going to make it look explicitly like this, and you're going to think that's what's happening, and you're going to play into it as a viewer, only for us to go,
we're going to play you.
We're going to play you. And they've been doing it a lot lately. And I think it's brilliant, right?
We've been seeing it.
Yeah.
I look at the other layer of that is the Finn Balor tease as well. I think it's time for Finn to be on his own regardless.
100%.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Finn align with Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Give him a female manager / wrestling person partner who they both do their thing together, move him away from the Judgment Day for a bit, and then allow that Judgment Day to slowly but surely collapse from within. I could even see him taking JD McDonough as well.
It's funny because the one that I really think needs a solo run is actually Priest.
Yeah, that's what I mean too. Take him away from Priest, because Priest needs it by himself.
Yeah. But I'm saying Priest without Judgment Day, right? So I'm saying maybe Priest, we're seeing Priest look like the guy who's like, no, you need to not play into this and don't blah, 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 blah. But maybe Priest is the one who's working with Liv.
That's interesting too. Yeah.
I don't know. That could be a wild idea. That
speculative.
Right. I'm just throwing out ideas.
Yes. Speaking of throwing, did you see Ricochet die?
I saw that it was real glass.
It was real glass. CM Punk is going to be so mad. so mad. For those who are missing what we're talking about, today on Raw, Ricochet has been having talks about maybe not re-signing with WWE, going out on his own. There's been a lot of talk in the AEW locker room. Ricochet is going to be coming in, and then there's going to be, a little bit of a thing with him and Kenny because they're best friends and all that kind of stuff. And Will Ospreay as well because they're all buddies. Because of all the flips, you see. So essentially also,
they've already had 2 bangers, Ospreay and Ricochet, so...
Yeah. And I don't want to see Samantha Irvin go, so I really hope that maybe that's not what's happening. Because at the end of the day, I think that Ricochet is just there on the precipice of it, Like we're seeing Triple H in control with the whole thing. Ricochet's been turning it around, been getting good stuff coming through. They gave him that belt for a bit. Really starting to build him as a person, as a character. He's had a lot of decent matches lately. He loses a lot, but that doesn't mean he has to always do that. No. There's a lot of bet on yourself element going around right now. But for those who aren't aware, essentially on this week's Raw, Bron Breakker continued his murderization of Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov by beating them both up and then putting Ricochet not only through a car window, but also that lawn dart into the truck was fucked. Because Ricochet's feet don't hit the ground. He gets lawn darted, he spins his whole body and takes a direct back bump from about 7.5 feet in the air. So it was really well done. They've essentially written him off television for the foreseeable future. I wouldn't mind still seeing them wrestle at Clash. It's not going to happen now, but I think Ricochet, if Ricochet doesn't leave, that's a good feud that they can continue to have. Ricochet get the W, we go from there. I do, however, think that Ricochet's probably going to go.
I think he's gone.
I just don't want to see it necessarily happen because I like him.
This is the thing with the Ricochet thing, though. I love the fact that in the Vince era, we would have just seen him disappear, right? It would have just been gone off the television. Fuck you, you're going to the other company. I'm not even going to give you any more attention. You're out of the toy box.
No, straight away. Not even written off, just gone.
No, just gone. Whereas they're at least giving him the respect of saying, here's a reason why he's disappearing, and leaving a window of opportunity open to bring him back if he does decide to go play over in AEW for a while or TNA or wherever he decides to land, right? And come back in 3 or 4 years' time and do it again. I also love the fact I love the fact that Samantha was involved in the storyline of
that was good
being
too, because they've been showing off anytime he's been hurt. They've been showing her and her reaction. So I think there's actually something really nice there, but whether or not it translates to the future is another story.
Yeah. Also, I love Pat McAfee's ring announcing while she was away.
He's been getting hilarious in shit lately, saying that white bitch in response to the basketballer in America.
I didn't even hear about that.
Oh, seriously? You got to see that. He said it, and then he made another reference to it again on SmackDown, I think it was. He's been getting in some hot water.
So is it like today? It was when Strowman came out. He was like, "It's a big son of a..."
Yeah,
and he refused to say the word.
I think so. Because he got in a bit of hot water last week.
Oh, Jesus.
So, but that being said, Pat's Pat, he goes crazy. He gets a little bit beyond. You can't tell me that anybody in the back had a conversation with him. I don't see Paul Levesque saying, "Hey, when Gunther comes out, I think you should probably get up on the table and do this." I don't think at all. I think that was Pat saying, "Woo, let's go, baby." And just getting into that vibe. So, when you have a loose cannon like Pat McAfee, who has a podcast, does the football stuff, is a celebrity, really is one on his own right. brings a lot to the table. You're going to have situations where he says shit that's inappropriate. You're going to say, like, when he thinks it's fine because he's just in that moment, you know?
Yeah.
Not excusing it at all. But at the end of the day, it's a lot fucking better than having Jerry the King Lawler talk about tits for 3 hours. So,
exactly right.
You know, like, end of the day, I would take Pat McAfee saying a word that I know he was like the second he did it over puppies.
Yeah.
Puppy. Oh, Booker T with his biscotti list of people. Like.
Did you see Twitter melting down this week over Booker T's commentary?
Oh, it's just I did, and look,
weirdly,
Booker T's commentary.
Weirdly, I had Matt Kuhn retweeting me this week. Yeah. My comments on him.
It's a thing of beauty's the wrong word, but it's so. Oh, Booker. Like, man, you make
Booker
noises.
He can't read a room.
No. Like, I like Booker T, but I don't like his commentary. I'm not a shucky ducky quack guy. I'm not.
And I think in this new age of production, when it comes to WWE, we need to be looking at commentary and making smarter commentary decisions when it comes to who we're putting on. Yeah, and look,
that includes Pat McAfee as well. Give me Wade Barrett every day on every show. I don't care.
Yeah, 100%.
I love Wade Barrett, but like that's what I'm saying. You know, you get these few people that we really get into. Michael Cole has turned a fucking corner since getting in.
Cole's amazing.
Without Vince, Cole has become a completely different person. I love Wade Barrett on every show as well. I'd be happy to see Wade Barrett all the time.
Yep.
There are a couple of really good standout people there doing the thing. Corey Graves. I like Corey as well.
It looks like we're going to get potentially a Corey return too.
Yeah, that's interesting. We haven't spoken about that because we didn't see it, but looks like there's something there. Logan Paul versus Corey Graves. I'd be happy just to see him do it one more time. He's a much better stand-in for someone like the King because he can, he still can go. Obviously the King is the King and nostalgia act, and I'm a hit a fist drop off the middle rope and then a pile driver. All those things, awesome. But
tell me,
knowing that Corey could actually have a match.
I was going to say number 29 in the Royal Rumble. Who would you prefer? Pat McAfee or Corey Graves? Yeah.
Look, Pat could come out, walk him to the ring if he has to, Yeah. But give me Corey Graves. And on production, real quick note, man, we haven't had a chance to talk because we weren't here for Backlash or anything like that. But the camera angles, man, they continue to evolve. We were talking about WrestleMania, talking about the video game camera they had for the announcements. Yeah, that one. But this drone shot that Logan Paul got at Backlash, holy shit. And now they've added it into Bron Breakker's entrance. He does his roar and everything, and it comes from way far in the hard cam, way far back. That camera must be worth like $1 million. Legitimately, that's an expensive ass camera because it zooms all the way into his face from that distance, and it looks incredible. This is, old mate Dunn was holding it back. As we transition into this Netflix deal and this new era of entertainment, we're getting cinematic, not just cinematic matches, but we're getting cinematic shows now. Like, this shit is amazing.
Triple H said, I think it was after day one, or was it after day two of WrestleMania, during the press conference, he said, you would have noticed the production changes that we've done. We're trialing some new things. This isn't the end of it. We've got lots more we're going to be bringing in. And we're already seeing, what are we, 3 months out from WrestleMania? We've already seen single cam, no-cut shots from outside the stadium all the way into ringside. We're seeing these amazing drone shots. We're seeing the 8K camera getting used for the pre-match. It's making the show feel like it's worth watching. It's worth money. It's worth paying my Netflix subscription for.
This is the natural evolution of professional wrestling. And we haven't had one in years. Like, this is the next step.
We've had the same basic setup for pro wrestling cameras probably my entire life as a wrestling fan. You've got hard cam, you've got 2 or 3 cameras at ringside, and that's about it, right?
The last time it was different was in the Haystacks era, that era where everything was filmed from this angle, very level to the ring.
Yep.
And far away, and then that was the hard cam, but it was at the same height as the ring. Your old pre-golden era was probably the last time it was changed.
I think probably
only
the last
after
innovation
the golden era began.
The last innovation I saw was probably the ring post cam.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So yeah,
or maybe the ladder match camera. But that's probably the last time I remember a significant difference in the way that the shows were filmed.
Yeah, and look, it's only going to bring up the rest of the industry as well, because naturally when one company does something cool, the others are going to start trying to either one-up them or at least emulate them, right? And then we'll also start seeing the indies start trying to do it on a GoPro.
I used to love, in WCW, the cameraman on the apron. It was a really unique shot that WWE never did. Yeah. I used to love that shot. It was a really unique shot.
WWE used to play around with camera angles a lot. If you remember the original game show version of NXT.
Yeah.
They used to try and play around with camera angles on that show. That show always felt like it was not just developmental for the talent, but it was developmental for production as well, because they used to use a lot of boom arm camera shots and camera shots that were high looking down from the posts.
You're trying to get people
cameras, and
you're trying to get production people who have only done one style for 25, 30 years into this new concept. So they do it for these one shots, and then it would be gone again because there's no need for it. Because that's not how we do wrestling, man. That's not how we do wrestling. But yeah, I'm really happy for it. Love to see it. Want to see more of it all the time. And what else I want to see more of is I want to see more of these shows that are in different parts of the world getting their recognition, not just as minor shows. Because I don't know about you, but if I sit there objectively and I look at Elimination Chamber, it's one of the big events. It felt like a big event. No, I feel like it didn't feel like that because every match kind of had that. There's still an element of that predictable vibe.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. It was funny because being in the arena, it felt like a big show, right? But when you look
the results
at the card,
didn't speak to that.
No. And you looked at the card; it was a very predictable card, and the same with France as well.
That's what I was kind of getting to. Because it's the same thing happened in France. Clash of the Castle has the potential to do the same thing. Some reason Clash feels a little bit different though, and I think it's because of how much Drew is invested in it as a character.
Yeah,
but for some reason Clash feels bigger than even Elimination Chamber.
Well, you look at Elimination Chamber. The big issue there was the big star in the main event always should have been Rhea, but going into that match, it didn't feel like she had the right opponent.
No.
There was never...
Well, what do you do with Cody, who is the actual biggest star in the company? He put him on a TV show, you know?
And that didn't feel right either, right?
No, it didn't.
And so it was just... The way it was booked was you had half of the right people in the right matches, the right people, but not the right opponents. It just, it didn't...
I think...
Whereas France was always, and at least with France, we had Cody versus AJ, which we knew was going to be a banger of a match, and it was a banger of a match. But we always knew that There was never
AJ was always going to perform. Like, honestly, always going to be. And like, we didn't even speak about that show, but I think that was a 6, right? They got a 6 stars.
Something
it garnered
like that.
a really high rating from Meltzer, which is unheard of because he won't even give Kurt Angle a fucking 5-star match. But at the end of the day,
the crowd for that pay-per-view though, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and I know you liked it. They kind of fucked it for me. I'm not a fan of crowds who go into business for themselves. And about halfway through the show, I'm like, if I hear that fucking chant one more time, I'm going to punch a horse. Like,
it's funny because me as a fan, I looked at that and I was like, that's a crowd I want to be a part of.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like from a fan point of view, awesome. As a wrestler, like all noise is good noise, but that's our rule, right? As long as they're not silent, you're doing your job right.
Yeah.
That is silence veiled as sound because they're not paying attention to you. They're just chanting shit. They are doing it for themselves. You just happen to be there. If you're good enough there, they're booing you. They're cheering you. They're not chanting fucking AJ Styles stuff.
And this is where I think Clash this weekend is going to be the exception, right? Is because all you had to do was watch Clash last year in Wales, and I think Scotland's going to be the same. As they're going to be loud, they're going to be boisterous, but they're going to be invested.
Well, because you've got Piper as well as Drew.
Yep.
And that, by the way, Piper Niven's promo this week was a banger.
Oh, I missed this.
It was so good. Because it was talking about, she's like, well, I'm not going to do it. I was going to do it, but I know it'll piss off at least 10 people. She's like, I'm going to do a Scottish accent, but she was saying the thing is that, you're really happy that I'm getting this opportunity, but for me, she's like
a good accent.
When you were doing this, you were being the hugger and all of that.
Yeah.
I was already wrestling for like 10 years on the independents. And it was this big thing about I've been doing this. You're calling me like it's my big shot. She's like, I was a world champion before you even came to this place.
Wow.
So don't talk about how I'm lucky to be having this shot or how you respect me for having this shot. Because she's like, it's great that you respect me. You can respect me when you're looking up at my fucking face with the championship above you. That's
awesome.
It was really well done, and it left Bailey speechless. Bailey was like looking around like, oh shit. It didn't feel planned, even though I'm sure it was. It felt real. And, even Chelsea being there, like, in the background, like, yeah, that's what she said the whole time. Like, it didn't really take away from it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, she was almost like, fuck off, I'm talking. And then got like right in her face and was like, this is the truth of the matter is that I'm really fucking good at this wrestling thing. And I've been doing it so much longer than you. And I've won so many more belts than you. You've done it here, but I've done it everywhere. And it was just a really, really good promo. It actually sold me. It actually sold me on Piper Niven as an actual character. The only way that it could have been better would have been if Bailey had have referenced Dewdrop in the promo. But the whole thing was really well done. It builds investment. I don't know where we're going with this Drew McIntyre thing because I have a thought. It's a funny thought. My thought is, okay, so this week on Raw, the Judgment Day, Finn Balor had a match against Drew. If Drew won, the Judgment Day are barred from ringside. If Finn won, then they were allowed front and center. My thing, CM Punk's not in the Judgment Day.
No.
So that's what's going to happen. Is that the Judgment Day, obviously Finn lost to Drew, so now the Judgment Day are barred from ringside. They will still try, and they will lose.
Here's oh, sorry, finish your booking.
Sorry, give me 20 seconds. Sorry. Sorry, baby called. Yeah. So that's it. At the end of the day, that's what's going to happen, right? At the end of the day, we're going to have Judgment Day do their thing. Judgment Day storm the ring at one point there. Maybe Liv will be responsible for them leaving the ring again. Blah, blah, blah. Drew's going to look like he's winning. He might even hit the Claymore, and then he's going to turn around and go to sleep, and that's probably going to be it. Or what I would like to see happen is maybe he goes to hit the Claymore, and then Priest hits him with the South of Heaven, and then Punk picks Priest up and hits to go to sleep, drags Drew onto him. Drew wins the belt. Punk picks up the belt. And he's like, now, not only do I want to destroy you, but I want to take this away from you. Just like I did at WrestleMania. Like, because Punk is very much so about fucking with people. And to me, why would he enter into this thing where he doesn't get to take away the belt from Drew?
Okay. You just had me completely throw out my booking, but I'm taking my ending and adding it to yours.
Yep.
Because my ending was going to be CM Punk attempts to fuck it up, gets claymored, Drew wins, jumps ringside, blows a kiss to CM Punk, and goes and celebrates in the crowd with the title.
Good ending. Good ending.
But what I want now is your ending. CM Punk jumps the rail, blows a kiss. The only downside is that if the moment he jumps into that crowd beats the shit out of CM Punk.
It is possible too.
Yeah. Dangerous move jumping into a Scottish crowd after fucking over Drew.
Oh, yeah. But I think Punk, if anyone can do it, it's probably Punk. Because,
Punk needs to become asshole Punk again. Smug asshole Punk. And I think you can start heading down that track by having him fuck over Drew.
Yeah. I think that it's hard because if you look at, Drew's like, oh, they'll eat you alive. He's like really like, when you come to, to Scotland, they will destroy you because I'm Drew McIntyre. Like there's this whole like big, it's this aura about being there. He's like, I wasn't planning to sing either, but I did last time, that whole thing. But I think that Punk, if anyone in the company could be a face in Scotland against Drew McIntyre, it's probably
it's Punk.
I think Punk could get the reaction that they want out of it. I don't think they will boo Punk out of the building.
It's going to be a big ask, man. That is such a big ask. I think it's the place to turn Punk heel.
Yeah.
I think it's a guaranteed heel turn location there. All right. Having him fuck over the hometown hero in the biggest way possible and walk out. And then you just need to figure out how to do it once you get back on American soil or keep the momentum going. But in saying that, you might be right. They might be so excited to see Punk that he is still a face by fucking over their hometown hero.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this pay-per-view.
I think either way it's going to be great.
Yeah. There's so many unknowns in this one. It's like going in. It's a mini mania for us.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. I think it's a mini mania for Drew too. After everything that Drew's been through.
Yep,
I think that we might be. Yeah, and look, give him the belt too, but give him the belt in a way that sets up for the future. I think Priest's time with the belt is coming to an end.
It's been a forgettable
I don't think they've
run.
done. Yeah, they haven't done what they needed to do with him at all.
No.
I think they've set him up in the future for a second run.
Yep.
But for that second run to occur, he needs to be out of the Judgment Day.
I do wonder if that's been an intentionally forgettable run, though. Like,
after the length of time with Seth and Roman obviously happening at the same time.
Yeah, I think they've very intentionally gone, yeah, you got the title, we're going to treat you like a champion on paper, but we're not going to make you too big of a fan favorite as a heel or as a champ, because we want to rip this off you at some stage and make someone else look like a hero.
Yeah. No, I think that it's probably a good time to move him away from the belt, focus on a steady feud that will turn him mega face in the Judgment Day feud, and then really start to build him back up from there to be a contender once more. I don't want to see him become Kane, but my fear is that his run might be forgettable in that way, you know. So, yeah, look, I hope we get more out of both of them. It's Drew needs to move past where he's at too.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I think Drew's at a point where he can't lose much more.
Yep. In saying that, we are out of time this week. We've got so much more to talk about next week. We will be back next week. I'm going to say this right now so that we have to stick to it.
Yes, we will be back next week. Honestly, it's just been a cavalcade of calamity. We didn't intend to be away. No. There's just been a lot of shit that's been going on.
And look, now that things are starting to come right, I'm even hoping to go and catch an Indy wrestling show in Sydney this week. So hopefully we start.
Yeah, you're going to go to that now.
Look, there's like 3 Indy shows on in Sydney this weekend. I've got 3 to choose from.
Full on.
But the one I'm actually thinking about going to, we've got the NWA World Heavyweight Championship on the line in Sydney. EC3 is in town, and he is putting the title on the line. And it's weird going to an event, and the reason I want to go isn't for a person, it's because I want to see one of the most, arguably the most important title in the history of pro wrestling. In a match.
Yeah, look, honestly, awesome. Very, very cool. I'm stoked as hell to see you getting back straight into things too. For me as well, bit of an update real quickly. Manshake stuff's been going really, really well. We've been hitting a lot of goals lately. I'm feeling stronger. I got a gym partner who I'm going to the gym with now regularly, and I'm starting to see a real shift in my focus, in my journey forward. Hopefully in a couple of weeks you might get to see something. Maybe I might go down and have a look at one of our local rings and just have a bit of a feel for it.
See if the calling's still there.
Man, look, I need to do something for me, and I feel like it's that. So stay tuned, get yourselves ready, because if everything works the way that it currently is working, you might see me on a show sooner than you think.
I tell you what, I will jump on a plane to be ringside for that, dude.
Yeah. So let's leave it there. Leave it on a cliffhanger. Follow us everywhere. You know the rules by now. Down Under the Ring, DWN Under the Ring on X, Down Under the Ring everywhere else. I'm the Warship practically everywhere. You're Phid McAwesome practically everywhere. Don't forget to like and share with your friends. There's no bell icon. I'm in a real YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe kind of vibe here for it. But honestly, we love your support. We thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. I know we've got a lot of messages from people saying, where's podcast? It's like when the podcast isn't on the screen, someone should be saying, where is the podcast? What's the podcast doing? Why isn't the podcast here? So we really do appreciate that. And yeah, we will be back on a very consistent basis from this point onwards. We're also planning on doing multiple shows here and there, so we might be able to chuck some extras at you as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching when this gets put on YouTube. And yeah, we'll see you very, very soon next time for episode 36 of Down Under the Ring podcast. I stuffed up our exit. We'll see you down under the ring.